What are you ready for to see the sunrise in the haze and surrounded by mountains? We were ready for almost anything. 200 kilometers flew by in an instant, and we found ourselves in a paradise. Meet us. We have grown. The main character today is Matviyka, call sign Kus, and next to him are Max, Maria, and I. I will try to tell you about the place where we rested, the Zhenets tract. It is between Mykulychyn and Tatariv. From this place begins a lot of tourist routes to the mountain pastures, waterfalls, and everything is surrounded by the mountains Khomyak, Sinyak, and Svinyanka. The only place where we were able to stay at the beginning of this tract is the Dyky Med hotel. The hotel itself is located on several levels through the mountainous landscape, and the territory was stretched in length by almost 300 meters. And the microclimate and weather for us was created by the Zhenets River, which began in the north of the Yavir Gorgany mountain and is a tributary of the Prut River. Even after leaving the main road, which ran above the Prut River, you could immediately feel the temperature drop by several degrees. If you think that after a long journey we ran to rest, then you are deeply mistaken. We went to change clothes for the journey to the waterfalls. I still tried to study the map and download apps with routes to my phone to understand where to go. But there was only one road, and with small side trails into the mountains. Kus took a kangaroo with him so that it would be more comfortable for him to ride on us, and we took trekking shoes, thermal underwear, and windbreakers. The route was very simple because up to the waterfall itself there was asphalt or small stones which were very easy to walk on, and the slope was small. Near the river, people built pyramids of stones, and, like soldiers, they stood guard in whole armies. The fallen trees were overgrown with moss, and beautiful plants added color. And on such a road, 4 kilometers flew by unnoticed, and we also had to hurry because the sun was already beginning to hide its rays behind the mountains, and not the whole road was illuminated. Although we were in a hurry, we lingered to take pictures of nature and shoot videos. Only on the nearby trails, waterfalls, and bridges a kilometer from this place, you could spend several days. But the most important thing was to sit in the fresh air and drink Carpathian tea, get distracted from everything and just talk about everything and laugh. But we didn't waste time in vain and sat and thought about how the next day would go. The most difficult thing was to figure out how Kus would ride the ATV, alone or with his mother. The sun was already scorching the edge of the mountain with its rays, and we managed to reach the most important one, the Zhenets waterfall. We didn't stand there with our mouths open, but immediately rushed to take a bath. Max climbed onto a piece of rock, and Matviyka and I stood under a shower of spray. The kid was very surprised by what was happening, and Max decided to jump down and slipped a little. Wet and happy, we went to explore the surroundings of the waterfall. But Matviyka's voice had already intervened in our journey. He must have been cold and very hungry, and we went home. The sun was getting stronger, so it wouldn't hurt to stop in for a snack, and we quickened our pace. During the drone flight, it seemed as if darkness would engulf us, because the outlines of the mountains were turning black, but in reality, it was quite light, and we were walking to the hut of our hotel. When you pick up the menu, after such a walk, it seems that you can eat everything on the list, but after mushroom soup and porcini mushrooms, I started to feel sleepy. This little adventure was coming to its logical conclusion, so that in 10 hours we could meet the dawn and enjoy new challenges. The morning greeted us with wonderful weather, and I woke up much earlier than we had planned to leave. Until the sun touched the mountains, there was practically no cloud, and then large clouds of steam appeared, which quickly evaporated, and this spectacle lasted no more than half an hour. And after that, we were already racing with the train to meet new adventures. My daughter and I agreed on how we would travel because I had promised her a trip on ATVS a long time ago, and now we were already near the viaduct, overtaking the train and driving up to the guys who promised to give us an extreme tour, but on a big Jeep. And little Kusi liked it the most, and you will find out why later. It was possible to make a wish because I myself have never gone on such tours and on such cars with huge wheels. A Nissan from the dinosaur era with a non-lethal gasoline engine and a bunch of bells and whistles for increased cross-country ability took us to meet adventures. We went to the most beautiful places, turning left behind the Rudiak mountain pass, through the small Chertish towards the Tsokolukiv mountain. After the turn from the asphalt, the usual dirt road began to the place where we crossed the Prut River. Then it started. We shook and bounced. In fact, there was a road, but it was with ruts as deep as our wheel, and the car periodically drove sideways. At that moment, I even remembered my minivan with hung wheels near Rozanivka. But here everything was different. The finale of this climb was the small Chertish. Here we had already breathed a little and went to take pictures with my family. Max filmed Maria with Matviyka, and I pulled up the bird to take pictures of all of us against the background of these mountains. The next stage of our trip was north of Sokolyukiv mountain, and there was a stop for tourists. Now we decided to put Maria ahead, since this is the most fun part of our trip. From the drone, it was completely unclear where and how we were going. But we were driving on such a road that our Nissan growled and barely moved forward, and the driver Slava told us what the traffic situation was like.
На цей маршрут тільки ми їздимо. До першої зупинки, що всі можуть суху погоду поїхати. А далі тільки ця одна машина їздить.
Та ладно.
Тут портальні мости стоять, проходить всюди. І остальні не можуть пройти. Замало кліренсу.
We overcame all the difficulties and drove onto a flat road and continued picking mushrooms. And Slava told us that the rest stop was almost around the bend.
Слава, мы едем? Мы чуть не по маршруту едем или? Ні.
Пройдіть туди, з
А.
корінням.
Йдемо.
Я йду відірву. Бачите?
А вот, подожди,
Вже спостерігайся, тут болото.
да вот, Рик,
Где?
вот.
А,
Він як злився, що це?
давай я руку подержу.
А что это?
Не знаю.
6 small houses nestled in a vast forest, and in this interesting place we were supposed to make our stop and have a snack.
Крайня хата на селі, лісна кафешка. Як продається Carpathian.
Birds were singing all around, and the sun was shining brightly. We were very well received. There was homemade cheese, honey, and of course the most delicious tea. It was so nice and peaceful that we didn't want to go anywhere, but we had to go further. We barely persuaded Max and Matviyka to get up from the swing and get ready to go. This time, Max sat in the front, and Slava surprised us and took us not along the shortest road leading from these houses, but to the place where they had to clear old trees. And what did Matviyka like the most about the trip? Because he slept soundly as the car made its way through potholes and fallen trees. And I tried to take a picture from the copter of the road we took instead of the easy road. It's hard to understand, of course, but you can follow the thin strip in the forest. This was the second most difficult section of the road. Maria had the most fun. And we were driving to our last stop to see the beautiful views, but already on Varakta. It was already the beginning of the descent from the mountain, and everything was visible as if in the palm of our hand.
В тіньочок станеш. Щоб малий не жарився, у нас тут зупиночка.
Ох ты, елки, какой вид.
А от той міст, що ви хотіли бачити.
От новоровки звідси.
I couldn't help but raise my bird and take a picture of the most beautiful viaduct, although I didn't fly very low. This day's journey was also coming to a logical conclusion, and I had to calculate my strength to plan the next day.
Какие ощущения после поездки? Гриба есть, она тут лежит. Лежала.
We realized that we were a little tired these days, and Max decided to arrange a rest for us in the bathhouse. After resting and getting some sleep, we went to breakfast. Although I got up very early as usual and met the rays of the sun again. This time, we went to Bukovel and had a real rest from all the active recreation. Probably the weather forecast for these days was rewritten for us, and we were again accompanied by bright sun. This time, I did not take any equipment for filming with me. We tried all the baths, steamed our feet everywhere, and I mostly hid in the fog of the Roman bath or stretched my muscles under the water jets in small bowls. Then we went to warm up in the children's pool, and I accidentally dropped Matviyka, and he took a little water, but everything worked out. And then Maria and Max went to order pizza, and the baby and I sat on the sun loungers and danced on the street to disco music.
Секунд 30-40.
It was the laziest rest, although it gave us a lot of strength for the next day. and the next day was going to be much more difficult than the trip to the waterfall and the Jeep ride. We were planning a steep climb into the mountains. We woke up very early and went out. This time we understood that we would need to save our strength and that we could drive a few kilometers by car.
И с кем мы идем? Гора Хомяк.
Наше турне
С
починається.
хомяком.
Да, сейчас хомяку покажем его берлогу. Нормально.
A few days before that, I tried to fly up for reconnaissance and see at least the Khomyak mountain range. But the copter didn't extend more than 500 meters and crashed into the treetops before reaching there. So I had to follow the routes that were drawn with red lines in the program. It was only now that I figured it out and began to understand what the colors meant.
Смотри, какая красивая. Смотри.
Сфоткай.
From above, it is very easy to observe how the route passes, and you can clearly see several trails that go from the mountain to the valley. And if you look closely, you can even see how the trails go towards Bukovel and towards the Zhenets tract. But the whole question is what kind of trails these are. But I decided to test myself for strength, and in addition to a backpack with equipment, water, and a first aid kit, I carried little Kus up.
Може я зараз його беру?
Ні. Трохи стає легше йти. Що ти, Масі? Самочувствие. Это мы где-то половину пути прошли. Фух. Мокрый кошмар. Сейчас попить надо будет. Называется «Рано радовался». Тут. Мне послышалась жопа, а не жаба. Телефон мне подсказывает, как выровнять горизонт. Вот так вот сейчас по линии горизонта. То вот с таким углом дочь сейчас ползет в гору.
I'll take a quick look at the copter's camera from the valley to the place where we started climbing, so you can understand our route and where we needed to get to this pentagram. And we went through what I thought was the hardest part, and we got out onto the mountainside, and only Masha was wrapped around her knees with elastic bandages.
Это самое крутое было. Да. До Хомяка біля 700 метрів, 250-300 вверх.
We made a small stop. We had to eat and feed the baby. In my free time, I was able to fly over the mountain calmly and roughly, begin to understand how best to climb there. I had doubts about climbing there with Matviyka because in the copter camera, I saw a lot of rock, and I remembered what it was like to slide on shale in the collapse zone. After consulting with my family, I asked them to go alone, and they would stay in the valley with the baby.
Это не трасса. До этого была. Это полная жопа. Красиво, но тяжело. Только что по кустам пришлось ползти.
As soon as I got distracted from taking pictures of the route map, I was already struggling through the bushes and sinking knee-deep in moss. It wasn't until I was 50 meters away that I realized I was going in the wrong direction.
Буханул в хаще, выбрался. Сейчас вон стежка наверх. Осталось 120 метров. Ну тут, блин, просто кайф. Выпил водички, сейчас вверх. Маленький перерыв. Кайф. Просто кайф. Осталось вообще чуть-чуть. Вон. Финиш вообще в метрах каких-то считанных. Ой, я уже замахался тут петлять. Капец. Неужели? Неужели это финиш?
Imagine my emotions. I've already been on such hikes in the Austrian Alps, and the road was also difficult. There were descents and ascents to the collapse zone, but for some reason, it was all different here. I was bursting with emotions and just wanted to scream that I did it. And I understand that it's also a disease for me to go to the mountains, and I will do it again and again.
Что вниз дорожка будет чуть полегче. В общем, мне туда. Я пошел назад. Трохи не тою тропою пішов, але тут набагато легше йти.
I was saying goodbye to Mount Khomyak, but I was already starting to look at the neighboring Mount Sinyak and understand what would happen on the next trip.
На стежку ту полонину. Найважче я вже пройшов. Це вже таке легеньке пішло. Тут можна і вже бігти до мого маленького куся, до моєї родини, побачити їх.
My family wasn't sad all this time either. They had a good dinner and were waiting for me at the table. This journey was coming to an end. We had to descend from the valley, and we chose the path towards Bukovel, since it was the easiest route and was drawn in the program with a green line. Then a regular bus picked us up and took us to our tract.
Как тут вообще легко идется. Никаких напрягов. Идешь, как будто бы идешь там. Ну ничего. А чё папа попутал? Идем. Ай-яй-яй, победа!
We covered a little over 13 kilometers in one day. Matviyka did a great job the whole way, and I want him to remember this trip. Friends, thank you for watching this film. I hope we will return and you will see our adventures and our little Kus. May the sky above everyone's head be peaceful and calm.